With that, good morning and welcome to the American Marketing Association 2007 case competition. Our team is here representing the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and consists of Nicholas Palmieri, Jimmy Smoot, and myself, Amanda Bloom. We're here today to present to you our recommended strategy for the revitalization of tourism in the city of New Orleans. To do this, we have devised a roadmap, which you will all see in front of you on this card that we gave this morning. 7 steps that need to be taken in a tourism situation such as this one to become successful. As Nick will soon describe, first we need a clear understanding of the situation in New Orleans currently. Then an implicit, forward-thinking positioning statement tied with a creative campaign which possesses evidence that New Orleans is clean, it's safe, and it's open. Fourth, a comprehensive understanding of our target market and their media consumption habits, coupled with an aggressive public relations campaign to alter the negative perceptions that are still currently held about the city, and following through with an interactive campaign that drives website booking to the city and fulfills consumer needs, of course using number 7 metrics every step of the way. Now this campaign has been very carefully planned out and is executed accordingly to combat negative perceptions and create an influx of tourism dollars for the city. We are confident that this roadmap is going to lead you to destination success. So allow me to introduce to you Nicholas Palmieri, who's here to speak on the current situation in New Orleans.
Thank you, Amanda. So let's talk about the current situation in New Orleans. These are going to be the 6 key areas that we're going to be talking about in our situation analysis portion of our presentation. First, let's take a look at the domestic tourism industry. As you can see by this chart, the domestic tourism industry is projected to continue to grow 2 to 3% by 2010. Tourism remains a profitable growth industry. As far as the competitive climate for New Orleans, there's 3 types of competitors: local, national, and regional competitors. The local competition consists of cities like Baton Rouge, Biloxi, Gulfport, and Lake Charles. These local competitors also had hurricane damage, and tourism is very sluggish. As far as the national competition, New Orleans competes with cities like Las Vegas, Orlando, Chicago, and New York City. These cities have high destination awareness amongst tourists and are able to attract a large number of people without a high marketing budget. However, Las Vegas has an advertising budget of around $95 million, and Orlando just announced a budget of $35 million. Before Katrina, New Orleans was known to compete against these national destinations. However, post-Katrina, New Orleans needs to realize it must compete with regional competition now, because these regional competitors are taking away previous New Orleans tourism. These regional competitors consist of cities like Atlanta, Tampa, Nashville, San Antonio, and Memphis. Most of these cities have a tourism budget that are larger than the one of New Orleans' proposed budget. For example, Nashville has an annual $9 million advertising budget. San Antonio's 2006 budget was $12.2 million for sales and marketing. And as we can see, New Orleans' proposed tourism marketing budget is around $5 million. It is important to understand pre-Katrina New Orleans visitors. The last full year before Katrina was 2004. As you can see on this chart, there was an estimated 10.1 million visitors in 2004, which was New Orleans' best. 62.8% of these visitors came from the southern region of the United States. And as far as age demographics, 19.2% came from the ages of 18 to 30, and 48.3% came from the ages of 30 to 49, which comprised of about 2/3 of New Orleans visitors. Now we ask ourselves a simple question. How about New Orleans today? Let's review the New Orleans tourism-related businesses. As we can see on this chart, 60 to 80% of the tourism businesses have been restored to normal from this chart, which we got from January 1st of 2007. Overall, recent estimates suggest that the tourism industry in New Orleans is 80 to 90% back to normal. So let's talk about the media coverage in New Orleans. We were concerned about the negative perceptions that continue to surround New Orleans. So we decided to conduct some research to to evaluate media coverage of New Orleans a year and a half after Katrina. So we conducted a study by evaluating the major national and regional newspapers to see what was being written about New Orleans. During the weeks of November and December of 2006, using LexisNexis, we reviewed all the stories pertaining to New Orleans that were printed in these major newspapers around the country. As we can see on this pie chart, this is articles written on New Orleans. Out of 48 articles, 2/3 of them were negative. And here I want to show you an example of a recent negative article. This is called the NBA All-Star Game example. This is from March 1st, 2007. When they first mentioned to me that the All-Star Game was going to be in New Orleans, the first thing I thought about was how much security are they going to have for the players and everybody else there? I don't think it's the right city to have this type of event right now. And this is from Tracy McGrady from the Houston Rockets. As we can see on this slide, here's a pie chart relating to newspaper articles written on New Orleans tourism. In the same time period, we found a 50-50 split between positive and negative articles. As a check, we compare this to Las Vegas tourism-related articles, of which 88% were positive during the same time period. This clearly shows that New Orleans still has a public relations problem. While the pre-Katrina New Orleans tourism research was comprehensive, we found little post-Katrina data. So we decided to conduct our own primary research. Let me start with the qualitative research. First, we interviewed Brad Brennan, whose family owns the world-famous Commander's Palace restaurant. We interviewed Mr. Brennan for an hour and a half, and the comment he kept coming back to was that tourist businesses just want things back the way they were before Katrina. Next, we conducted 21 man-on-the-street interviews by intercepting visitors on the Las Vegas Strip. The majority of them said they feel that New Orleans is not ready for tourism. And finally, our third qualitative research that we did was focus groups. We had 3 age categories: college students, middle-aged, and seniors. The majority of the participants had positive feelings about New Orleans, but had negative perceptions of the current situation of the city. Focus group respondents said they would rather go somewhere else on vacation rather than New Orleans. Now for our quantitative research. We conducted an online survey that came to be known as the Back to Normal survey. The survey had 22 questions covering perceptions of the current situation, reasons why or why not to visit New Orleans, and demographics. And we had 187 respondents to the survey. While all the details pertaining to the survey are contained in the packet we provided you this morning, let me highlight a few findings. And by the way, in this survey we had 2 target markets, 18 to 30 and 30 and over. First, we wanted to see the degree of which respondents agreed with the statement that most of New Orleans is back to normal.